Today I will be running down a psychological thriller film titled Sleeping with the Enemy. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead of this video, so chill out and enjoy it as I narrate it for you. The film opens with a beautiful married woman named Laura and her wealthy husband, Martin Burney. They take pleasure in their comfortable stay at their opulent Cape Cod beachfront house. Laura is getting ready for an evening social function. However, Burney has a frosty personality and is fixated on his wife. He becomes insanely jealous, even at the slightest hint that Laura might be attracted to another man, so he exercises full control over what clothes she should wear. When they get to the party, the Burneys appear to be the most prosperous, happy, and ideal couple, but the reality of their house is an abusive husband. Burney whisks Laura back home before they have had enough time to enjoy the festivities. He likes listening to Berlioz's Symphony Fantastique while taking pleasure in his actions. When he wakes up in the morning, he notices that the bathroom's towels aren't lined up correctly. Then he picks up and leads Laura to the bathroom to remind her never to make the same mistake again. Fearing the consequences, Laura, who submits to her husband to the fullest extent, arranges the canned items in the cabinet in Burney's preferred order, telling Laura to start preparing dinner early because he is hungry and can't wait any longer. Burney leaves to meet their neighbor, whom Laura is constantly staring at in the window. The neighbor remarks that Burney is a fortunate guy to have a stunning woman. Subsequently, they discuss the expenses of sailing and his enthusiasm for it. The neighbor then extends an invitation for the Burneys to sail together along the coast tonight. However, Burney declines the offer, claiming that his wife is unable to swim or even approach the water. The moment Burney gets home, he grows irritated that his neighbor is taking pleasure in viewing his wife through the glass window. Then he abuses Laura so physically that she humiliates him, asking her if he's not man enough. Laura is in such excruciating pain that she is powerless to resist him. Burney immediately gives her an odd apology before telling her that their neighbor has invited them to go sailing along the coast tonight. He makes a vow to be at Laura's side and leaves. Laura is depressed and upset about Burney's abusive behaviors, which changed right on their honeymoon. She notices light bulbs on the shores and starts breaking them down. When Burney gets home later that evening, he gifts Laura flowers and apologizes to her once more for his displeasing behaviors. To show how much he cares about her, Burney presents her with a crimson dress, his favorite hue. Then he puts off her clothes and forces her to wear the new dress. Laura is clearly not at ease receiving the present, and it appears that she's unhappy with this kind of treatment. He eventually pushes himself on her, which makes her angry, and her face says it all. Moments later, when the husband and wife are taking breakfast, Laura discusses her desire to work full-time at a library. Burney becomes upset with the idea and advises against it because no housekeeper would take care of their home. Laura mentions and reminds him that, 6 months ago, she was not even permitted to attend her mother's funeral, and it's not fair. Burney surmises that Laura is bringing up the argument so that she can avoid sailing in the evening. He assures her that nothing can separate them, and they will always be together. Then Burney took his wife to sail. But the weather starts to turn bad when they're in the middle of the ocean, and then Laura's husband reassures her that nothing bad will happen. Once the weather continues to deteriorate, Laura looks afraid due to her water phobia. The boat's jib snaps off, and then Burney attempts to fix it. However, the strong winds blow Burney and roll him out of the boat. When his neighbor retrieved him, Burney became horrified when he learned that his wife was also swept overboard and ended up in the water, but she is unable to swim. Burney started to panic and called the Coast Guards, only to discover Laura's safety vest after a significant surge and presume she was dead from drowning. Burney becomes inconsolable and guilts himself of killing his wife. A few days later, Laura's funeral procession was held, as Burney was in shock and found himself in a very depressing situation. Now it's revealed that after secretly learning to swim at the YWCA, Laura planned to fake her own death to escape Burney's abusive and obsessive actions. She swam through the water and survived the storm. As she says, "That was the night that I died and someone else was saved." Laura returns to the beach house and picks up a bag she had already prepared. Then furiously, she chops off her hair and throws her wedding ring down the toilet. Laura boards the bus and eventually departs the area heading to Cedar Falls. The elderly woman on the bus gives her some fruit, and they both converse for a while. Laura tells her that she is going to visit her mother, which implies she lied to Burney that her mother had passed away 6 months prior. She then narrates to her the tale of her violent husband, who used to beat her whenever he felt displeased by her behavior, but good enough she has risked everything and escaped him. Laura changed her identity to Sarah Waters and rented a fully furnished house. She then begins to paint and organize the house according to her standards. Laura is now an independent woman. She looks at the sunset and cherishes the moments she lost. Laura takes a shower, and after freshening up, she misplaces the towels as a sign of freedom. Ben Woodward, A handsome young man in the backyard is trying to water his apple trees. Laura looks at him with a smile on her face, but she shies away once they connect the eyes. Bernie decided to take a stroll down the shore, where a shattered piece of the light bulb got through his shoes and injured him. It dawns on him that they are all broken. Laura walks outside during the night and begins to pick apples from the yard. Suddenly, Ben catches her stealing, but instead of calling the police, he wants to befriend her. Laura felt sorry for him because for some reasons, she doesn't befriend men anymore and runs away. Ben comes after with the apples, then apologizes for his behavior, saying he didn't mean to scare her away. A woman who works at the YWCA calls Bernie while he is at work. She offers her sympathy and brings up Laura. Bernie is surprised at Laura's lack of YWCA visits. The woman goes on to say that Laura attended swimming classes with them every morning and improved her swimming skills. When Bernie hears that, he loses his cool and immediately makes his way back home. Bernie spends hours rummaging through Laura's possessions. He cuts himself in the process and tries to clean the wound in the sink. He stumbles on Laura's wedding ring, which she had earlier thrown in the toilet but did not flush into the drainage. When Bernie removes it, he concludes that Laura might be still alive and that her demise may have been staged. Laura brings the apple pie she baked with Ben's apples over to his place that night. As they prepare for dinner, she asks Ben not to play any other music other than Bernie's old favorite, Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. It gives her chills. Upon learning that Laura is seeking employment, Ben offers to help secure her a position at the college library, but Laura turns down his offer, stating that she doesn't have recommendations or transcripts. When Ben sees a wound on Laura's head, he acknowledges that she may have had a difficult past. Laura introduces herself to him as Sarah Waters to hide her identity. Bernie begins to look for Laura's relatives who were close to her. He visits her mother's retirement home, but it was revealed to him after some discussion that Laura had taken her handicapped mother out of their institution 6 months prior. Ben wants to be more than a friend to Laura, but he hardly knows her and still has doubts about her Sarah Waters name. Laura informs him that she's not yet ready to fall in love with him based on her personal reasons. Then Ben became disappointed in her and walked away. Laura uses a phone booth to call her mother, just to hear her beautiful voice, because she misses her so deeply. Bernie meets a private investigator and offers him 20 grand to locate Laura's mother on his behalf. Laura is thrilled to see Ben when he reaches out during the Independence Day celebrations. Ben apologized for showing his affection to her last time, but Laura replied that it's okay and he shouldn't be guilty about it. After a brief conversation on their personal lives, Laura told him that she hadn't seen her mother in the last 6 months, and that's the reason why she decided to come to this town. Laura's mother is handicapped and resides at a nursing facility. However, Bernie has already found her and is standing beside her. Ben pays a visit to Laura that evening and extends an invitation for the date. He takes her to his apartment, where he plays music for her and shows her all of his affection. They are obviously in love and have spent a great time together. After returning home, they both begin to have more fun, but saddeningly, Laura pushes Ben away in resistance and also wants him to go. Ben felt dejected and unhappy with her kind of treatment and leaves. Laura approaches Ben the following day and apologizes for her behavior before disclosing to him about her abusive ex-husband, explaining that she had to leave him to gain her life back. Ben reassures Laura that she won't experience any harm because he will always protect her. He even assists her in disguising herself as a man before she visits her mother at the nursing home. Laura sings to her mom the song she used to sing for her. She then reveals to her mother that she had to leave Bernie because of his abusive and obsessive behavior. Laura mentions her new friend Ben as a cheerful and attractive person. Then her mother assures her to be strong and not let anyone harm her again. Bernie is in the same nursing home, inquiring about Laura's mother's visitors. As he prepares to leave the facility, Laura is seen drinking water from the fountain before she walks outside unnoticed. Immediately, the woman informs Bernie about the visitor they just had today. He then hastily dashes outside to find her, but Laura has already disappeared. She arrives at home overcome with happiness and leaps into Ben's arms. In the guise of a police detective, Bernie approaches Laura's mother again. He informs her that they must locate Laura in order to alert her that Bernie is in town and he might hurt her. Laura's mother is unsure of her daughter's location. She informs Bernie about Ben and the college where he teaches dramatics. Ben wants to kill Laura's mother. Luckily, the nurse walks into the room, causing Bernie to drop his evil plans and walk outside. He heads right to the college the following day, where he kidnaps a drama professor but discovers it's not the appropriate one and knocks him out. Moments later, Bernie spies on Ben and takes him to the park, where he finds both Ben and Laura enjoying every moment of their evening. Bernie grows disbelieving and jealous of what is happening. Ben and Laura return home in the middle of the night to freshen up. However, Laura leaps out as soon as she sees the towels in alignment, just like Bernie's standards. With nervousness, Laura begins to check the rest of the house and discovers that the kitchen towels are also aligned. Laura gets relieved when she opens the kitchen cabinets and finds the canned items untidy, then walks back to play Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique song. In that instant, Laura discovers that the door is open, and then the fire alarm goes off. She decides to break the smoke detector to stop the siren. Then, Laura heads to the kitchen cabinets only to find the canned items precisely rearranged to Bernie's specifications. She laughs and weeps in a depressingly accepting way, realizing that her husband has finally allocated her. Bernie emerges from his cover and plants a kiss on her head, calling her his princess. Ben taps on the door to remind Laura of tomorrow's meeting time. Soon after closing the door, Ben breaks the door, and he attacks Bernie. But Bernie overpowers him and knocks him to the ground. Bernie shows Laura her wedding ring and tries to force her to wear it back. Laura needs him to drop his gun. Then she immediately grabs it and holds the infatuated Bernie at gunpoint. But this doesn't stop the fixated husband from declaring his love for her, as they're meant to be together forever and ever. Laura decides to call the police and informs them that she has killed an intruder before sternly shooting Bernie to the ground. Bernie awakens, and he tries to shoot Laura, but the gun has no bullets in it. Bernie eventually succumbs to his injuries. Laura goes to help his boyfriend, and they hug each other while waiting for the police vehicles to show up. This brings the movie to an end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.